Hi guys, welcome to part 5 of my WebGL and Three.js tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at three-dimensional shapes. What we are going to be looking at are the box geometry, the sphere geometry, and the cylinder geometry. Okay, I have here the starter code with a few adjustments. I added a light just so we can see the dimensions, and I also adjusted the camera. Okay, so let's start. First, we're going to start by adding a box to the scene. Okay, we're going to be using a function to do this, and to draw the box, it takes the same form as the two-dimensional shapes, where you have a geometry, a material. You pass a geometry and the material to a mesh, and then you add that mesh to the scene. So we start by we're going to first add box geometry. Okay, and we're going to pass a width of 5, a height of 5, and a depth of 5. Then we're going to add the material. So for this one, instead of using a basic material, we're going to be using a mesh, a Lambert material, and this allows for light. We're also going to have a wireframe of faults. Okay, and then we're going to create our mesh and pass that geometry and the material to the mesh, and then we're going to add the mesh to the scene. Okay, now we're going to add this function in our setup scene. So we're going to say draw box, and we're going to save, and we're going to run this, and let's see on our screen we should have a box, as you see here. I'm using the light so you can see the edges, and it's an actual three-dimensional box. Okay, and now we close this, and we can go ahead and comment this code out. And now we are going to add our sphere to the scene. Okay, so we're going to create a function called draw sphere right under the draw box function, and we're going to do the same thing we did just now. We're going to add a sphere geometry. Okay, and the sphere geometry takes 3 parameters. Okay, so we have here a radius of 3. Okay, it's going to take the width segments and the height segments, and 30 will give us a fairly smooth sphere. Now we're going to add the material. Again, we're using a mesh Lambert material instead of the basic material, and we are passing the wireframe of faults, and then we're going to create add our mesh. Okay, let's format this code a little better. Right, we're going to pass the sphere geometry and the material to the mesh, and then we're going to add that mesh to the scene. Okay, and we're going to go and add this function to our setup scene. So it's going to be called draw sphere. We're going to save, and when we run, we should get a sphere showing up on the screen. Okay, right, so you can see the light reflecting on the sphere. We have a dark shadow under here. If you run the code, then you should get that. And now for the final shape we're going to look at is the cylinder. Okay, so we're going to add a function called draw cylinder. Alright, then we're going to add the cylinder geometry, and the cylinder geometry is going to take 4 parameters. And these 4 parameters that we have here, alright, so we have a radius at the top of 2, a radius at the bottom of 2, then we have the height of 5, and the radius segments of 30, which will give us a very smooth rounding at the top and bottom. Next, we're going to add the material. Okay, we're going to add the material now. Then the mesh. And then we're going to add the mesh to the scene. As you can see, what we're doing here is very straightforward, and WebGL can get quite advanced. So this is some very basic stuff you're doing. Now we're going to add the cylinder. We're going to add the cylinder now to the scene, the setup scene, by calling the draw cylinder function. And now we're going to run this. And what you should see here is a cylinder with a very smooth top. We can also have a radius at the top, and when we save and refresh the page, we have a cone. So you see, it's some very easy stuff. As usual, we have come to the end of our part 5 of our tutorial. As usual, the code will be placed on GitHub, that you can go ahead and download and use it. For our next tutorial, part 6, we'll be looking at lighting, which will be quite fun. Thank you for watching, and do have a great day.